George belongs with me.
The law says he's my Maud. Where he belongs is up to me. That's the law.
Well, Grandma, what did you think of Suffragette, this movie about the votes for women in England?
Well, they started with the fact that we were in 1912.
Yes.
And gave us a look into what it meant to be a working class person in 1912 in England. Not just the women, but of course they were going to be the focus, but the men too. A working class person did not have an easy life in 1912. It was... England is not known for bright sunny weather. I've
so
noticed
how was
that.
the movie?
Well, I'm getting up to that.
You're giving us a nice history lesson here, and you have a weather report.
Well, here we are 100 years later, and yes. I think as a woman, we forget what life was like for our grandmothers and great-grandmothers. I thought the film was very well done, and the focus of our story, of course, was a woman who was one of those thousands, she wasn't alone, who lost everything that she valued in her life being taken away from her because of her involvement in the struggle for women's rights. Just the right to vote, which was a criminal act. And all that she went through with the incarcerations and physical abuse, all of the loss of her child and her husband and her home and her employment and her whole previous life was taken away from her, forced away from her, because of her involvement in the suffragette movement, which was increasingly important to her. I thought it was very well done, and it showed how important the movement became to these women in many revolutions. If you study in history, just marching and speaking sometimes gave way to violent acts because the marchers and the speakers became desperate. They weren't heard. They were ignored. They were pushed aside as being crazy. As her son said, Dad said that you got something wrong in your head. Crazy.
Well, they make it very clear at the beginning. They have some titles at the beginning that they had fought sort of quietly, you might say,
yes.
For years and years with no results.
Almost 50 years.
And it was
almost 50 years.
Only after all of that they resorted to civil disobedience, as they call it.
Civil disobedience. It wasn't a adventure or science fiction or anything.
Definitely not.
Those kinds of movies where I tend to hold my breath a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I was holding my breath.
You were? Why?
For Maud, because it was so painful for me as a female and a mother, and what happened to her, what she went through, it was very painful. And I admired her tremendously as her resolve grew. You know, when she first came into the movement, she, you know, no, I'm not a suffragette. I'm not a suffragette. You know, just kind of hang out with them every now and then.
Well, the film was very much just focused on her.
Absolutely.
I mean, from the beginning to the end, it wasn't. And actually, it's a bit deceptive when they say Meryl Streep is in the movie. I mean, she plays the Pankhurst, the leader of the movement, and she's only in one scene in the entire movie. But again, this movie really is not about the whole movement as a whole. It's really just about one person and their sort of relationship.
What that meant.
And you know, what it meant to her. It was only at the very end where they showed archival footage of
the actual parade.
Of the actual people. And you see how many people there were, and what a sort of a larger issue it really was. I mean, the movie made it very much a personal issue, and not a larger sort of national issue. One thing that I would have sort of found interesting would have been a little more about the other side, in fact. I would be very interested to see more about her opponents, you know, the movement's opponents. Why were they fighting so hard against what, again, to us nowadays seems, you know, common sense? But that would have been a whole different movie.
As you said, we're 50% of the population.
Yeah. But that would have been
in every home. You know?
Yeah, that would have been a whole different movie than this one. Again, this is a very personal movie about one person, how her life was changed by the movement, and how she
did follow
carried forward.
The one investigator, Steen.
Yeah,
and
but he wasn't really necessarily the opposition. I mean, in some ways he was sympathetic.
More sympathetic.
Yeah, but again, he was only sort of, in a way, a face of the opposition. He wasn't really the opposition. But I mean, I think it was an all right movie. It wasn't, I wouldn't say a great movie, but it was good. It showed a lot of the motivations behind what was, again, a larger international movement, really, not just even a national movement in England. Final analysis on Suffragette B.
I thought the movie makers did an excellent job of what I perceive as their purpose, was to present this from this international fight from a personal point of view. You know, focusing on this one woman and what she experienced and what she gave up to be a suffragette, to stick up for her part of the human race. It was very well done, I thought.
Well, speaking of sticking up, how many thumbs are you going to give it?
Oh, I am of the opinion that this is a film that everyone should see. Therefore, I give it 2 thumbs up.
Oh, I think I'll give it a thumb, but
1 thumb from you.
It's well done.
Is that because of your masculinity there?
No, not really. Again, I think it's a good film, but it could have been better, I think. But it was good.